Picture Texas in April, 1886, in a stretch of hill country called Larkin, the kind of place where the sky feels bigger than it has any right to be. And picture blue bonnets, millions of them, spilling across the pasture like something got knocked over in heaven and nobody bothered cleaning it up. That's the world we're stepping into. A world where the land is beautiful and dangerous in almost the same breath. Because in this part of Texas, spring doesn't just mean flowers. It means rivers rising. It means cattle drives. It means the season ranchers both wait for and quietly dread. So why open a story here, in this exact valley, at this exact time of year? Because everything that happens next, every choice, every risk, every quiet act of courage, is going to be shaped by this one truth. In cattle country, beauty and danger share the same address. Keep that in mind, because it's about to matter more than you think. Now, imagine keeping a secret for 3 straight years, one nobody in your family ever asks about anymore. That's Cora Ashford. Every April, when the blue bonnets bloom, she does something nobody else witnesses. She takes a dress out of a cedar trunk, puts it on, alone, and sits with it for exactly 1 hour before folding it away again. Not a wedding. Not a special occasion. Just her, and the dress, and whatever memory that fabric is still holding on to. Here's a question worth sitting with. Why would someone keep doing something that clearly isn't easy for them? Is it healing? Is it grief? Or maybe it isn't about fixing anything at all. Maybe it's about not letting go completely. We'll come back to that dress, because it's about to say more about Cora than words ever could. That dress wasn't just fabric and thread. It was made by her mother, Margaret, who spent an entire winter sewing it by lamplight, even as her own hands grew unsteady with the illness that would take her life that spring. Think about that for a second. A mother, running out of time, still choosing to spend her remaining months creating something for her daughter's future. She finished it 2 months before the wedding date. And then she never lived to see it worn. Doesn't that change how you look at the dress? It's not just a wedding gown anymore. It's the last thing a mother's hands ever finished. And that's only half of what this garment is carrying, because there's a second loss folded into that silk too. Here's the part that turns quiet grief into something almost unbearable. Cora was supposed to marry a rancher's son named Wesley Coombs, steady, kind, the kind of match everyone in town approved of. But 3 weeks before the wedding, Wesley died crossing a river with a cattle herd. Just, gone. Old-timers in that region will tell you river crossings killed more cattlemen than stampedes and gunfights combined. Not dramatic. Not sudden violence. Just an ordinary risk, calculated wrong once. So picture Cora's spring of 1883, burying her mother, and then, weeks later, losing the man she was supposed to marry. 2 griefs, arriving almost on top of each other. No wonder that dress became complicated. It wasn't one loss she was carrying into that trunk. It was 2. Now let's shift focus, because a new person is about to walk into this valley, and he has no idea what he's stepping into. Levi Hartwell, 34 years old, rides into Larkin looking for spring roundup work. He's quiet, capable, the kind of man who's spent years choosing not to stay anywhere long enough to be asked hard questions. Cora's father, Jonas, short-handed after losing 2 ranch hands, hires him without much hesitation. Simple enough, right? Just a man looking for work, and a rancher needing help. But here's the thing about small, ordinary decisions in stories like this one, they rarely stay small for long. Because Levi is about to walk straight into the one private ritual nobody else has ever seen. So picture this, an ordinary Tuesday morning, nothing special happening in town, and Levi is simply leading 2 horses back from pasture. Then he rounds the old chapel, and finds a woman standing alone in a field of blue bonnets, wearing a dress clearly meant for something more than an ordinary day. He says something simple. That's a beautiful dress. No hidden meaning behind it. Just an honest observation. But sometimes the most ordinary comment lands on the most guarded place in a person's heart. Cora's throat tightens before she can stop it. Ever notice how trust often isn't built through big dramatic gestures, but through small, repeated moments of steadiness? That's exactly what's happening here, quietly, one ordinary day at a time. But not everyone in the valley is at ease with this growing closeness. Jonas, Cora's father, finds Levi alone one evening and says something he's clearly been holding in for a while. He admits his fear plainly, that cowboys die on rivers, in stampedes, under spooked horses, just like Wesley did. And he's not sure he has the strength left to watch his daughter fall for another man who works dangerous land for a living. Isn't it interesting how fear, when spoken honestly, can feel almost like love turned inside out? Jonas isn't trying to control Cora. He's trying to protect her from a pain he's already watched her survive once. Levi doesn't argue with Jonas. Instead, he says something surprisingly honest. He admits he's spent 8 years running from land, from risk, from anything worth losing, and calling it the drifter's life, when really, it was fear wearing a more comfortable name. Doesn't that reframe everything we've seen so far? His years of wandering weren't really about freedom. They were about avoiding another loss like his brother's. And here's the question worth sitting with: is refusing to build anything at all really safer, or does it just guarantee you'll never have something worth protecting in the first place? That answer is about to be tested in the most dangerous way possible. Then, almost without warning, the sky 2 counties upstream turns heavy and gray, and the Pedernales River begins to rise, fast, the way Texas hill country floods always do. Cora's younger brother, Daniel, is driving cattle across the low crossing when the current hits, sweeping both him and his horse downstream toward a deadly log jam. Picture the sheer helplessness of watching from the bank, knowing exactly how fast a river like that can take someone. This is the moment every fear in this story has been quietly building toward. And it's about to force Levi into a decision that will define everything that comes next. Levi doesn't hesitate. He's already moving before anyone finishes shouting, cutting along the bank to get ahead of the current, roping Daniel on the second throw, and hauling him toward the shallows while his horse fights for footing on ground that keeps giving way. Jonas runs the bank helplessly, too far to help, close enough to watch every terrifying second. And Cora stands there reliving a nightmare she's already lived once before, on this same river, at this same time of year. Doesn't it feel almost unbearable, watching history threaten to repeat itself in real time? But this time, the outcome is about to be different. Levi gets Daniel to solid ground, both of them soaked, coughing, shaking, but alive. And Cora runs to him without a second thought, hands on his face, checking every inch of him, her own hands trembling now that the danger has passed. That night, wrapped in a blanket though the evening is warm, she finally says the thing she's been carrying since the riverbank, that watching him go into that water made her feel like she was about to lose him the exact same way. And that's where we'll leave things for now, right on the edge of a confession that's been building since the day he first saw her in that green silk dress. If this story pulled you in, hit that like button, it truly helps this channel more than you'd think. Subscribe if you want to ride along for what happens next between Cora and Levi. And drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I read every single one. See you in the next story.